I think the wasps should beware. The white Anglo-Saxon Protestants should understand the Jews are migrating. Tonight, four ways. Tomorrow, Chartwell and Inanda. Rosh Beit Din, Rav Kurztag, Rabbi Aubach, Masaru Kedushin, Rav Bergman, other Rabbonim, family and friends. On behalf of Tali and Adam, Karen and David, Rosie and Brian, and on behalf of all the Nachas Schleppers, the Bobbers and Zayda, Sheila, Neville, Esther and Betty, I welcome you here tonight to the wedding of Tali Shapiro and Adam Shapiro. Whilst on the subject of Shapiro marrying Shapiro, please allow me to dispose of all the Shapiro jokes so that we don't have to be moved to boredom for the rest of the week of Sheva Brachot. So here we go. Number one. All following? Good. Adam is not being very metro and thoroughly modern by adopting Tali's surname. Number two. Tali does not have name tags on her clothes, which now fortunately don't need changing. I ask you, which self-respecting girl of Tali's class and style with access to Karen's credit card would have name tags that weren't either Versace, Gucci, or YSL? And yes, you are right. Number three, the Home Affairs Department is still very confused by the fact that although there is a wedding, there is no name change. But with respect, when last did you see a Home Affairs official who wasn't confused? And four, Tali is not thinking of double-barreling the Shapiro name, as in, hi, I'm Tali Shapiro. Professionally, as a newly qualified speech and hearing therapist, it may appear slightly insensitive and be misconstrued if she introduces herself to the hard of hearing and to those with a speech impediment by the name of Tali Shapiro. And number six, this is strange even for me. Adam's father is Brian David Shapiro, and David's brother is Charles Brian Shapiro. And yes, believe it or not, Adam's mother is Rosie Shapiro, and Adam's granny is Betty Shapiro. And the Joburg Shapiros really do have two maids, domestic empowered managers, I might add, by the name of Betty and Rosie, and trust me, they are the best wannabe Shapiros I know. And lastly, Tali is not going to sign her name as Tali Shapiro squared. Now, in the words of Rabbi Tatz, stay with me here. This is very, very deep. This is very, very deep. And ninth and finally, I swear that Bli Nader, if ever there would be another Shapiro wedding in this family, I would certainly change the theory of relativity to the theory of relatives, and I would refuse to be your MC squared. Busing stations are in the back. However, if you do prefer a bath, please feel free to try the roulette table outside. Neighbors to 0 for 6 consecutive spins. If you win any money, come back and let me know. It gives me great pleasure to call on Daniel, Adam's brother and best man, to make hamotzi. For those of you who haven't vast, there are vasing stations outside.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Yeah, I passed the pallet. Did you vast, Tali? You've had bread. They bring you to vast, oh?
They what?
They bring you to vast. I'll give her challah in the meantime. She'll vast and then have bread. Just a matter on the table layout. I am told that although normally those guests who bring the smallest gifts are seated close to the back, we call those the cheap seats, here tonight this was reversed. Firstly, probably because there are no cheap seats at the Monte Casino. And secondly, tonight because we give the big punters easy access to the casino, but with the sound knowledge that people who can spring for a big gift are probably not going to throw their money away on the chances of red coming out before black. However, to make sure that we all stay here and celebrate with us, we have a ring of Rabbonim who are primed to report any wanderings of wedding guests. And the casino cameras have been trained to focus and list those errant guests who lose their way. A full list of who you are, how long you were away, and how much you lost on the tables or machines will be forwarded at the conclusion of this function to the family. A copy thereof will be forwarded also to Rabbi Larry Shane, so that the information on your true disposable income will enable him to profile some of his donors. So please, to avoid embarrassment, should you have a lucky streak on the tables outside, please come forward to me at any time with your winnings. I have a supply of Leo envelopes pre-printed by the Welchers with the name of Tali and Adam thereon. This is all for your convenience. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the serious stuff. Rabbi Volby, in an insightful comment on the wedding ceremony, questions why it is referred to as Nisuin, literally from the word laseit, meaning to carry. According to Torah law, a marriage consists of two distinct steps. First comes Kiddushin or Erusin, practically done by a bride receiving a gift, in our case a ring, and consecrating herself to her husband. And the second part is separated from Erusin and is called Nisuin. And that is accomplished through Chuppah, Yichud, and the Sheva Brachot. Whilst Kiddushin defines the possible parameters of any relationship, Nisuin, on the other hand, fills the space with the substance of Tali and Adam's individual personal commitment. But why the word Nisuin? Surely the name given to the essence of the entire wedding ceremony cannot merely recall a briefly held tradition where the wife was carried to her new husband's home. No, Nisuin must have a greater interpretation. The word Nisuin is also written in the plural. It reflects a dual commitment by the bride and groom to carry the other. Laseit, the root of the word Nisuin, also means to elevate. A timely reminder to Tali and Adam to assist each other to grow, to build respect for one another, and to lift each other, to set goals and to achieve them together. It is therefore probably not coincidental that Nisuin, written chaser, without the vowels, and excluding letters which we don't hear in the pronunciation, could be read as a palindrome. This reflects the inside-out mutual commitment we know both Tali and Adam have in abundance. From his first, somewhat nervous yet disarming smile outside Or Sameach, Jerusalem, when acting on instruction, Tali, I was on instruction, I went to interrogate Tali's bashert. One could recognize the quality, excellence, and committed determination that is Adam Shapiro. And you see, Tali is one of our personal favorites. She's sincere but never mushy. She's polite but strongly principled. She's bright and focused, and she's beautifully refined. You can clap. You didn't do so well, you can clap again. But the qualities of Adam and Tali are not born in a vacuum. And whilst the local Shapiros are closer to home, I am sure the Sheinkite, that beautiful adinut that shines through, is a reflection of both their homes. And it mirrors the quest for tikkun ha'olam, to fix the world, that emanates from two homes that is steeped in derech eretz, yirat shamayim, the learning of Torah, and the support of Torah. Be it David's fiery commitment to build and maintain Hatzalah, making Hatzolah one of the premier Jewish social services in Johannesburg, having saved countless lives already. Or in showing the way of his personal leadership by becoming the drip stand when serving as a responder for Hatzolah. The fact that your friends are your clients, David, and your clients are your friends, speaks volumes of the high esteem you are held in. Often have we witnessed Karen's chesed and friendship, easily hosting 30 to 40 guests at a time. As an aside, Karen's leftovers could easily solve our power crisis. Easily serving as an alternative energy source. Seriously, we have witnessed both the Shapiro family's exceptional parenting and seen success in all their children. They are leaders and builders. Some even hold up walls of entire clans. They are contributors in time, money, and energy to countless causes. They live by the quote that they make a living by what they get, but they make a life by what they give. They are pillars of the Or Sameach community locally, and they are pillars of the wider Jewish community. So we know that you are both ably equipped, Tali and Adam, to carry this forward, to fulfill the pledge of your nisuin to each other, to build on the brilliant base you both have been set. To expect of such talented people, Tali and Adam, just the ordinary, would never, ever be enough. Rather, we know you will deliver excellence in yourselves and in each other to make families in Klal Yisrael proud of your Binyan Adayad. It gives me great pleasure to ask my good friend, advisor, and sometime confidant, Tali's father David, to address you.
Wow, I didn't realize we were on such a professional standard. Rosh Beis Din, Rabbi Kutztag, Mori v'Rabbi, Rav Auerbach, Shlita, Choshev Rabbonim, our special Chosen and Kala, my dear wife Karen, Brian and Rosie, family and friends. Since about the time that Tali was born, some 21 years ago, I have dreamed of this moment and prepared in my mind what I would say this evening. Accordingly, you'll excuse me if I'm a little long-winded, but I need to traverse some 21 years in the history of the Shapiro household. Hodu Lashem ki tov, ki lo'olam chazdo, v'shechiyanu v'kiyimanu v'giyanu, Lazman hazeh. These two sentences probably encapsulate everything that I really need to say. Tali, as you grew and went through the various stages of your life, your school career, and also your university years, and I watched your many talents develop into mature, solid attributes, I realized how fortunate any boy who married you would be. When you achieved 6 distinctions in matric and then grew during your year of learning at seminary in Eretz Israel, I knew that your chosen was going to acquire a wife of grandeur, a real Bas Israel. Tali, I must say that it was not only your natural talents that you received as a brocha from HaKadosh Baruch Hu that made you into what you are today, but fundamentally, and perhaps more importantly, the bracha that you had and continue to reap was to be born to a mother who possesses so many fine midas and skills, and maybe a little bit from me too. So that you were able to be raised in a home and under the guidance of mommy, who instilled in you all that was necessary to present you, as we did this afternoon, as a beautiful color, equipped to become a Jewish wife and to build a Bais Ne'eman B'Yisrael. And so the combination of these two head starts in life, coupled with your own struggles and life experiences, have made you into what you are today. Having seen the world around you and the needs of the people who received their brachas in a different way from Hashem, this led you to choose a career dedicated to helping those in need. And with the continued help of the Almighty, you will soon be qualified to go out into the world and give to others what you have learned from your mother and at university in a professional way. You have chosen a career that enabled you to put together your upbringing, your talents, and skills for the benefit of those who require such assistance. The subject of speech, Tali, is so important that there's probably no other mitzvah that has so many parts of both the Torah Shebektav and the Torah Sheba'al Peh dedicated to it. And what I'd like you to remember, seeing that you'll be devoting a large part of your life to the subject of speech and hearing and listening, is that which was summarized by Rav Yitzchak in the Gemara in Chulin on Daf Pei Tet Amud Aleph, and that is when asked which craft a man should pursue in this world, he answered that he should make himself like a mute. Rav Yitzchak's description of the quality of silence as an umanut, a craft, conveys a number of important lessons. To become skilled in any given craft requires a period of training and experience, and so it is with the art of silence. The ability to restrain oneself from speaking in a situation warrants silence is indeed precious, and the quality of silence, with that quality of silence, man is protected from the many aveiras which are related to speech. Without it, it is exceedingly difficult to refrain from committing an aveira. And so you see, Adam, I had these grandiose ideas about telling you, although I didn't know who you were until really recently, how fortunate you were to be receiving this special girl as your color. I wanted to tell you that Tali may seem strong on the outside, and she certainly has a mind of her own. She is forceful and sure about what she wants and thinks is correct, but inside she's soft and gentle, and you must treat her with care because she hurts easily. Adam, all who know Tali know what I'm talking about, and I have no doubt that you in particular are fully aware of all that I refer to. But I have to say that after preparing for some 20 years, after I met you, I had to change the thrust of my address, because I very quickly realized, and this realization was endorsed time and time again, that as fortunate as you are to have Tali as your color, equally, Tali has received yet another bracha in having you as her chosan. Adam, neither Karen nor I have had any doubt that our daughter had chosen a husband to meet her match. Your midas and dedication to all that you believe in are beyond reproach. When we met your special parents, Brian and Rosie, we were not surprised to find a warm, loving, and nurturing household, because you certainly project all that we have seen in your own home, and our two families share and respect those qualities which you portray. Your love and dedication to Tali and your soft and gentle approach, coupled with a strong will, make Karen and me feel like we do tonight. There are many things that are exciting about the prospect of this third son in the Johannesburg Shapiro's household. These we cherish, not least of all, that being that my two sons somewhere went off the derech and became ardent Arsenal supporters. To have another Liverpool fan around has helped us tremendously, Adam. Maybe we'll still be able to makarev Ariel and Josh. But your sharp mind and pursuit for truth and to do only that which is correct and proper inevitably led you to the path and life of Torah. You too have received much bracha from the Ribono Shel Olam, and I'm sure that you will carry on using your intellectual capacity to continue learning. You and I have not had much opportunity to learn together, but I remember when we decided to learn a small piece of Kedushin, I chose that Gemara because it was one that I had done a couple of times, and of course it was appropriate, and I was sure that at least the first few blood were well within my grasp, and I'd be able to hold my own with a bocha just to come back from yeshiva. I was so pleasantly surprised when after the first half hour or so into the Gemara, you were the one who was busy explaining to me the difficult sugyas. Adam, there is another aspect about Tali that perhaps you're not aware of. These many beautiful midas that you found in Tali and will cherish for many years to come did not originate with Tali or even in our home. Conspicuously absent from the table to my right are my dear parents, Felix and Meg Shapiro, Aleim Hashalom. Sadly, Adam, my children did not have the schus of growing up with their paternal grandparents, who passed on to the Olam IMS at a relatively young age. Fortunately, however, Tali knew them during her formative years, and you should know that those things that you recognized in her and which attracted you and helped you to come to the decision that she was the correct person to choose for a wife are those special midas of chesed that we all learned from my dear parents. They were exceptional in their dedication to their family and those people around them. And the word chesed was what made them tick. Although you did not know them, and unfortunately will never know them, you will at least be able to see them through Tali. The Gemara in Yevamos teaches us that when we learn the teachings of wise people who have long left the earth, they speak to us from the grave. You will learn their teachings through Tali, and you will speak to them daily. Adam and Tali, my messages to you are many. In the parsha that we just read, the parsha of Adam's Ofrup, Rashi asked the question about the tupim, which some translate to mean the tambourines. Rashi asks, how come the woman took with them out of Mitzrayim tambourines? And he answers by referring to the Mechilta, that the righteous women of that generation were certain that the Holy One, blessed be He, would perform miracles for them, and so they took tambourines out of Mitzrayim. Always take your tambourines with you, and know and trust in the one that will always help you. Your Ofruf re-emphasizes this point when it speaks about the war of Amalek, and why Moshe's hands were raised during the war, and when Moshe would raise his hands, Israel was stronger, and when he lowered his hands, Amalek was the stronger. Rabbi Miller explains from the teachings of Rav Dessler that when his hands were raised, he was focused on knowing where his support was coming from the area to which his raised hands pointed. And when he lowered his hands and relied on his shoulders, Amalek became stronger. The date of your chasana falls between the parsha of Beshalach and the parsha of Yitro. We learn from our Chachomim that since creating the world, Hashem spends his time making shidduchim, and that this task is as difficult, if not more difficult, than the Kriyas Yam Suf. The parsha we will read this Shabbos is dedicated to Matan Torah, and the lesson I believe to be learnt is that to overcome the difficulty of creating a perfect marriage and of forming a loving relationship, which is exceedingly difficult, if one seeks to find and looks for the recipe for success, one needs to look to next week's parsha, and that of Matan Torah. And that surely must be the answer. That in order to ensure Shalom Bayis, accepting Torah into your home and as part of your life has to be the answer. Tali and Adam, take these powerful messages from the parsha of your Oprup and this Shabbos parsha and carry them throughout your life. And that, coupled with the brachas that you have received by being born into families coming from a long line of special people, and the many talents that Hashem has given you. All that together will ensure that you will indeed be able to build a Bais Ne'eman B'Yisrael. I need to thank a lot of people for making the Simcha so beautiful. And not only the chuppah and the event tonight, but also the time leading up today, and I'm sure the exciting Sheva Brochas that we are looking so forward to. Firstly, my dear wife Karen, who once again took up the reins and ensured that this Simcha would be special and perfect to the finest detail. To all those friends and family who ably assisted as usual, and in particular, the clan, Bibi, the chocolate maker, to all of you who made considerable effort and traveled the extra mile to be here tonight, and in particular those who traveled even further. Peter, Bev, and Gabby, who came from Dallas, Texas, as you always do, to ensure that you're present at every simcha, no matter when and no matter how. To my good friend Chaim Fink, who came from Eretz Israel, those of you who traveled from Cape Town, especially my dear, dear friends, Rabbi and Rebbetzin, Liebenberg, and those that came from Zimbabwe. I think you know just how much it means to us to have you all present tonight. Finally, I just want to say to my good friends from Tsocha and Southern Sun, I want to thank you most sincerely for facilitating this beautiful venue this evening and all the help and dedication that you gave to making everything so magnificent. And in particular, I have to mention Sidney Siegel, who really went out of his way to make this such a splendid simcha. Mazel tov, mazel tov.
Thank you, David. Whilst one is always at a disadvantage when one meets the next generation without having had the benefit of meeting the previous generation, I'm reminded of the Gemara that says, Shuta de Yanukot Beshuka, or da Avua, or de Ime. Go out and listen to the young child in the market, and what you will hear will be a reflection of either his father or his mother. To Adam's credit, he is the best advert for his parents. And when you meet Adam's siblings, his brother and his sister, you recognize that within that home there was abundant discipline, but abundant chesed that provided a nurturing ground for some great, great offspring. Without any further ado, it gives me great pleasure to call upon our distinguished, dapper, sartorially elegant, multi-talented Chosen Adam to respond to all the great things that are said about you and Tali. Adam.
Distinguished Rebbeim, family and friends, good evening. It's very hard to follow such a phenomenal speaker. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming and joining in our wonderful simcha. Every weekday morning, when a Jewish man puts on his tefillin, he affirms that his roots, both spiritual and physical, lie in heaven. If one is to carefully inspect a set of the head tefillin, the tefillin shel rosh, one would see that on either side of the box lies a letter of the Hebrew alphabet, the letter Shin. These two shins, one on either side, plus the resh, of what is between them, the rosh, make up the Hebrew word shoresh, or root. One would also see that one of the shins has 3 arms to it, and the other has 4. This is a tribute to our 3 patriarchs, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and our 4 matriarchs, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. In the same way that every day we pay tribute to our spiritual and physical ancestry, I would like to pay tribute tonight to our more immediate spiritual and physical ancestry. Firstly, to those who could not be present here today. To my loving grandfathers, my Zayda Sam and my Papu Avram. Words cannot express how much I would love for you to have been here today. You will both always be present in our hearts and memories. Unfortunately, as David said, I didn't get a chance to meet Tali's paternal grandparents. I'm pretty sure, though, that Grandpa Felix and Granny Meg are smiling down at us on our special day, and their presence is sorely missed. A special thank you also to my Granny Straya and my Boba Betty for coming from Cape Town to be with us today. And I'm very privileged to have met Tali's maternal grandparents, Grandpa Neville and Granny Sheila, when we were both in Eretz Yisrael. A special thanks to them too for having made the trip to be with us today. Whilst on the topic of thanks, I'd like to thank all those who have traveled from far to share in our wedding. Hold on to your seats. From Cape Town, Uncle Zach and Auntie Moira Shapiro, Sue, Leon, Aaron, and Justin Benetter, Rivka, Jeffrey, and Jamie Sommer, Taryn, Saul, and Ayala Barron. An even bigger thank you to Saul for coming all the way from America. Kevin and Mickey Barron and Shirley Magid, Merle, Tony, Ilan, Talia, and Yaron Wiesenbacher, and Jason Gottschalk, Hilton, Lee, Ryan, and Dean Solomon, my Rov and mentor, Rabbi and Rebbetzin Bergman, Yaakov, Tzipora, and Shloimi, Rabbi Abramson, Rabbi Gabi and Sarah Shane, David Cohen, Raphael Ress, Dori Kowalski, Nick Cohen, Mr. and Mrs. James Manthe, Mr. and Mrs. Johann Fisser, Mr. Len Hauptfleisch, Mr. and Mrs. DJ van der Merwe, Gail Budlinder, Ora Kleinberger, and Matty Hassan. From Harare, Esther Sulam, and Rochelle and Mark Asaraf. From England, John C. and Lucy Gordon. Special thank you also to Uncle Alan and Auntie Sharon and kids for coming from Eretz Yisrael. Also to Auntie Stella from Botswana. I'd like to extend tonight a special thanks to our retinues. To my best man, my brother Daniel. I know that throughout my life, I've always had you to count on. And for this, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support has always been unwavering. I love you and cannot wait to share many more simchas with you and our entire family. To the rest of my poll holders, Ariel and Joshi, Aaron and Justin, Saul and Mickey, and Raphael and Gideon, thank you all for your love and friendship. To our bridesmaids, Gila, Racheli, Sarah, Tracy, Cara, Avital, and Yael. You all did so much to make our simcha the beautiful event that it is. Thank you all for your efforts and love, and we look forward to celebrating with you all in the future. I would like to express our deepest thanks and love to 4 very special people in our lives, who without doubt really made tonight into the spectacular evening that it is. When I first met David and Karen, they were on somewhat of a reconnaissance mission in Eretz Yisrael. Apparently, Tali had told them about a young yeshiva bocha she had met, and that it was kind of serious, and they needed to come and meet him. Thank God I managed to intercept them as they made their way off the plane. David and Ka, for me, meeting you was love at first sight, and getting to know you over the past 10 months or so has only strengthened that love. The amount of time and effort that you have both put in to make our wedding the most memorable night of our lives is immeasurable, and so we both thank you from the deepest depths of our heart. I once heard it said that no one can understand the effort that it takes to plan a wedding unless they've actually planned one. I've contributed to planning ours, and I still don't understand how Karen found the strength and will to pour all her effort into it. So thank you, Ka, for everything. To my dear parents, my mom Rosie and my dad Brian, I can't believe that we turned down the sponsorship deal from Kleenex for our wedding. Thank you simply does not suffice. Your efforts to make this period the most magical of my life too are immeasurable. From planning and holding our engagement party in Cape Town and hosting my Ofruf last Shabbos at our beloved Or Sameach Cape Town, to putting all your efforts into tonight's celebration, we thank you both too from the depths of our heart. Mom, you have this uncanny way of always knowing exactly what to do to make me happy. And last Shabbos just proved it once again. For 6 years, I've dreamt of sitting on the sparkling white covered chair in Shul on my Ofruf Shabbos, and all the celebrations that only Or Sameach Cape Town can contribute. And I experienced all that and more. Thank you both for your constant support and encouragement. I love you both dearly and look forward to celebrating many, many, many more happy and momentous times in our life together. Please God. To my sister Sarah, you look absolutely stunning today. Thank you for all the efforts you put in to make this such a memorable night. Whether it was schlepping to deliver last-minute presents or being the go-between for me to deliver a message to Tali over this last week, you did it all with a smile and with love. Thank you for this and much more. I am so proud of the fine woman that you have turned out to be, and to call you my little sister. Gila, Ariel, Racheli, and Joshi, I have loved getting to know the four of you, and thank you all for welcoming me into your home with open hearts and arms. People always say that it's wise to save the best for last. In my engagement speech in Cape Town, I thanked my exquisite and magnificent bride, Tali, for providing me with the answer to the age-old question that has plagued Jewish homes for thousands of years. The question is recited every Friday night with the opening verse of the hymn to the perfect wife. The words are, Eshes Chayil, mi yinsa, a woman of worth, who can find? The answer that Tali has enabled me to discover is, Ani matzati, for I have found her. We have a concept in Judaism that chosen doime lemelech, that a groom is comparable to a king. I now understand why this is so, because only a king is fit for my beloved queen. I remember learning whilst I was in yeshiva in Israel that according to a commentator on the Talmud called the Nemuka Yosef, when detailing the laws of damages, that kocho kagufo, that is, that if one's strength or exertion causes damage to a person, it is as if he himself caused the damage, and he is liable to make restitution. We know from elsewhere in Jewish law namely the lighting of the Chanukah candles, that ishto kagufo, that is, that one's wife is like one's own body, and therefore he can light on behalf of her. If one takes into consideration the principle of if A equals C and B equals C, then A equals B, one can derive from ishto kagufo and kocho kagufo that ishto kakocho, or that one's wife is like one's strength. Tali, I can honestly say that seeing you this afternoon, after almost 2 weeks of not seeing you, and a week of not speaking to you at all, rejuvenated me like nothing else. You are my strength and my source of happiness. You look absolutely exquisite today. And, contrary to most opinions of what happens after one gets married, I know that you will look more exquisite tomorrow, and even more the day after that. I love you with everything that I am, and I am so excited to spend the rest of our lives together. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all once again for sharing in our symphony.
Sein Baruch Eloheinu, Shasim Chavinu V'Shachan Mishalayim. Baruch Eloheinu, Shasim Chavinu V'Shachan Mishalayim, V'Toy Chayinu. Baruch Atah Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'achol bara likvodo. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer ha'adam.
Adina Elena Melech Ha'ilam, Asher Yosef Adam Betzolmo Betzedem Dimostav Nisa, V'hiskin Lod, V'menu Binyan HaDeyad, Baruch Atah Adina Yotzei Ha'adam.
Sostasis v'tekela akara b'kibbutz baneh letochav b'simcha Baruch atah Adonai mesamech Tzion be'banea.
שמח תשמח רעים אהובים, כשמח לך יצירך בגן עדן מקדם, ברוך אתה אדוני, משמח אתה בחלל.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bara sasam v'simcha, asam b'chala. Asher bara sasam v'simcha, asam b'chala. Ilahi natan v'yitzah b'chero, havai avam v'shalom. Chutz Yerushalayim. Narim Mishtei Inasan, Baruch Atah Adonai, Sameach Hasan Imakala.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen.
Sameach Tesamach Reimo Ahuvim Kesamechacho O Yitzilcho Began Eden Mikedem Sameach Tesamach Reimo Ahuvim Kesamechacho O Yitzilcho Began Eden Mikedem Vehu kechoso Yoitei mechuposo Yoy sameach tisamach Redim redimo ahuvim Vehu kechoso Yoitei mechuposo Yoy sameach tisamach Redim redimo Samechacho O Yitzilcho Began Eden Mikedem Sameach Tesamach Reimo Ahuvim Reimo Ahuvim Samechacho Oy se shalom bim doy mov we yas shalom aleinu ve al kol Israel ve imnu amen Oy se shalom bim doy mov we yas shalom aleinu ve al kol Israel